Okay, today we're speaking with Don Vercelli, and Don, you're the lead singer and guitar player from the Social Distortion tribute band, Total Distortion. I guess the best place to start off is a lot of people might be interested, want to know why go the route of a tribute band rather than being a band where you could write and record your own original music.
Kind of, I guess when you get to the age that I'm at and most of our bandmates are at, writing and recording your own music is fun and cool, but, there's something about a tribute band that we grew up, idolizing Social Distortion and Mike Ness, and we love his music, and, honestly, I would write a song and nobody would listen to it or nobody would come see me play. You go into a tribute band and, you could be playing to 200 to 2,000 people. It's kind of a funny thing. So, I'm not 19 anymore and have no aspirations of being a rock star. This is the closest thing I could get to.
And I know you guys play in the Los Angeles area, but are you based out of LA or Orange County?
We love playing in Orange County. Obviously, that's where Social D is from, and a big fan base out of Orange County. So, that's one of our favorite places to play. And
now you're talking about you grew up on the music of Social Distortion. I was kind of curious, how did you first get into the band's music?
How did I get into Social D music or just music in general?
Well, Social Distortion in general.
I think, I didn't grow up in Southern California. I grew up in San Francisco, and I think obviously Social D is huge in Southern California, but I think as you go all over California, they had a footprint everywhere. And so a friend of mine turned me on to Social D back in the day, and I just, dug the vibe of the music and just kept listening to it ever since. And it's just fun music to listen to, get your toes tapping, and great lyrics that Mike Ness writes, and just all around, good music, good tunes.
I'd imagine you've probably seen the band live a few times.
Absolutely. Some quite a few times, and the most memorable one was last 2 Decembers ago. We were able to get backstage and hang out with Mike Ness and the boys, and so we actually got a cease and desist letter from our old tribute name, which was Socially Distorted.
Okay.
And we got a letter from the lawyers saying we can't use that name anymore. And so the cool thing that ended up happening was their manager called us up and said he's going to make it up to us because he knows there's little hardships with the banners and everything we did. And he explained why they had to send us a cease and desist letter. And it was all really cool, and they were cool, and he got us backstage, and we hung out with Mike and Johnny and all the boys, and it was cool.
And so, if you don't mind getting into it a little, what was the reason why they wanted you to change the name? Was it just too close to the Social Distortion name, do you think?
Yeah, our old name was Socially Distorted, and the way he expressed it to me was, people don't read, they typically do not read, and so they see, Socially Distorted's playing this club, whether it's down in San Diego or Orange County or LA, like Belly Up, and they think it's the real Social Distortion, and so they would get inundated with thousands of emails and phone calls seeing if Mike Ness was actually playing at these little bars, and so he was really cool about it, apologized about the letter, told us that he should have called us ourselves, but we would have changed it no problem anyway, and it kind of worked to our benefit because then people, see our picture on Facebook and our website with Mike Ness, and we're dressed like we dress on stage, and so it kind of worked out to our advantage. That's kind of in a weird way.
That's kind of cool in a way, like you're saying, because I mean, for people to not just based on just the name, but for people to be sending them that many emails, that kind of says something about how good you guys are as a band. That people are thinking you're the real thing.
Yeah, we take it serious. We're going on our 5th year of being a Social Distortion tribute, and it gets funner and funner every show we play. And
so I was curious if you obviously have met the Social Distortion guys, but have they ever come down and seen one of your shows, or have they kind of told you what they think about it?
No, they've never been able to come down to a show, but they did know when we were backstage talking to them. They actually knew who we were, and they talked about a couple shows that we had coming up, which was pretty cool. That they actually been to our website and listened to our music, and so yeah, they definitely knew who we were. They were talking about a show that we had about a week after the show that we met them in down here in San Diego called the Belly Up, which is a pretty big venue down here. And it was just pretty cool that they knew about us and they knew the shows that we were doing, and it made us feel pretty good.
And I think a lot of times tribute bands such as yourselves got to have a little niche, and I think what you guys got going for yourself, I mean, the reason I contacted you about interviewing you is I thought to myself, wow, I'm not aware of any other, Social Distortion tributes out, especially out here in the Southern California area. Why do you think there aren't more, Social Distortion tributes? Do you think it's just a matter because the real band's still around?
Kind of lost you on that last
Well, for example, I mean, there's thousands of, Led Zeppelin tributes, thousands of Kiss tributes, and Guns N' Roses tributes. There aren't a whole lot of, Social Distortion tribute bands, especially out in this area. I was wondering, why do you think that is?
You know what I think? When people are starting tribute bands, I think they go for the big mass, the mass bands like the Zeppelins or the Van Halens of the world. Social Distortion, they're not the biggest band in the world, even though I think so, and most of the fans think they're the best and coolest band out there. It is more of a cult following. And I think most people that start tribute bands go, for the big mass AC/DC type tribute bands, even though there's a million of them out there. They just feel that they get bigger or better draws, or, for whatever reason, they, you don't see too many Bad Religion tribute bands or stuff like that. So I think it's the diehards that love Social D and the diehards that want to start the tribute band like that.
Yeah, while Social Distortion may not be as, huge as, say, Kiss or Guns N' Roses or Led Zeppelin, I would think a band like that, though, would have, dieHard fans, so...
oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's, the fans that come and see us play are so into Social Distortion and Mike Ness. It's unbelievable. The most rabid fans out there, the most dedicated fans. We play a lot in Southern California, and they grew up listening to Social Distortion. It's pretty cool, man, the stories I hear about. Some of them have met Mike Ness in the past, or, some went to Troy High School where he went to high school, and so it's definitely pretty cool, man. The people are really into Social D.
And so, the fact that the Social Distortion is still an active band and they're still touring and that, does that ever get in your guys' way? I mean, if they're playing a show in town, do you kind of, book your shows around when they're playing and stuff?
They don't tour. They tour every couple years, but yeah, last year and a half ago when they were touring, we got actually asked to play the House of Blues up in Anaheim, and I guess the person who was putting the show together didn't realize that, Mike Ness and the boys were doing 21 nights sold out.
Wow.
From the Anaheim House of Blues in the Sunset, so the show got canceled, and because the real Social D was actually playing there, but typically that never usually happens.
Wow. And so, let me ask you, being a Social Distortion tribute, I'd imagine too, that comes in handy as far as you guys are able to play with various, I would think, different tribute acts. I mean, you could play with the Guns N' Roses tribute, a Nirvana tribute, Led Zeppelin tribute, that kind of...
Not really. That's kind of a funny thing. When people are booking tribute bands, they kind of stick to, we can and we should play with a lot more. But yeah, we do, we play with a lot of more other, Ramones tributes or Bad Religion tributes, more of the punk, Johnny Cash tributes, Rolling Stones. The Guns N' Roses and the other, more 80s bands, they don't really, it doesn't really mix too well, even though we're all tribute bands. For some reason, we get asked to play more with the Green Days of the world, and Ramones bands.
And is that primarily because of the other bands don't think you fit in with them, or is it primarily the promoters putting together the shows?
It's a little bit of both. I think it's some of the bands, they're not big Social D fans, or or the promoter just wants to do an 80s hair night or metal night or stuff like that. So they try to tailor those shows around stuff like that. So I think a little bit of that comes into play where either they're not just a fan or they just don't understand Social Distortion, where they could play with country, they could play with rock, they could play their genre kind of mixes a lot, rockabilly. So they just sometimes don't understand who Social D is.
I can see you guys like you're saying playing with a Ramones tribute or something like that. And Johnny Castro, would you say he's got a little bit of, even though he's country music, got a little bit of a punk element to his thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we play with Johnny Cash tribute, Ramones tribute quite a bit, and that's just it's the music that Mike Ness writes. It's got some country in it, it's got some rockabilly, it's got some rock, got a little blues sometimes. So yeah, absolutely. You
guys have a show coming up, don't you? I think in March at the Hollywood House of Blues. I think with I think it is a Guns N' Roses tribute and a Metallica tribute.
Yeah, that's where March 28th at the Sunset House of Blues. That's where the promoter, he actually knows who Social D is and knows that we could play with a lot of other bands. So he's a fan, and he gets who Social D is, and he gets the draw that Social D could bring in Southern California is as big as any other band.
Because actually, Gar Boris, who's putting on that show, he's also in a Guns N' Roses tribute band called Appetite for Destruction, and he's a guy that's been on the tribute scene for quite a while now, and he's pretty good at what he does. And amazing thing, I was interviewing him as well for this, and he was telling me, that thing he's really getting into now is, besides doing his own Guns N' Roses tribute, is he's actually the promoter and promoting a lot of these shows and packaging the shows and putting on shows for other tribute bands. And I think that's really great that you could start out in a tribute band and then kind of work your way into doing other things.
Yeah, he was the one I was talking about. He understands Social Distortion. I know Gar, he's a good man, great at what he does on that Axl stuff for Appetite. So yeah, he was the one that called us up and asked us to play, and we respect Gar. He's a cool dude.
And so a lot of times, like you tell me you have trouble getting on bills with certain other bands, but do you guys tend to headline a lot of your shows, or does it just depend?
Yeah, it just depends. It's sometimes again we're sometimes going on 11:30 at night gets a little old, so we don't mind opening up. We just like to play. Sometimes opening up the show's easier. You get a good sound check. Your gear's already set up on stage. But it's a case-by-case basis, depending on where we're playing, who we're playing with. If it's a big, huge national mass act that everybody knows that they sold millions of records. But it all depends on case-by-case. But we're a band that we just go up there and rock out Social D. And whether it's first, second, or last, it really doesn't matter to us.
Yeah, and I was curious, have you had an opportunity to play much out of L.A., Orange County area? Because I know a lot of these tribute bands, they go all over all over the U.S. And I've interviewed a couple that have, like Iron Maidens, which is an all-female tribute. They've taken their show all around the world. You guys played much?
Yeah, we've been to Texas and we've been to Vegas, and we get out there. But our staple is obviously Southern California. It's kind of weird if you get out of California and ask people if they know Social Distortion. 6 out of 10 people will say no. And it's kind of sad, but it's kind of the truth that they just have never been exposed to Social D.
Yeah,
but I think that's where we're lucky being in California.
Because to be honest, while I have heard the name of Social Distortion and I'm aware there's a band named Social, I honestly couldn't name one song. But again, that's part of a reason I called you up, and I thought, well, I'm not aware of one other Social Distortion tribute band out here in this area. And so let me ask you, being in a tribute such as this, does that ever work in your favor? Like when you're opening up, especially for some of these other tribute bands, and a lot of people in the audience, they maybe not know a lot of Social D songs, but yet, maybe they think you're a new band, or how does that work for you guys?
No, what mostly happens is they've heard of the Social D songs. They just have never knew who was actually doing it. So we'll get a lot of people that come up after the shows that, they knew what Story of My Life was and Ball and Chain and Bad Luck. They just didn't, put that song to that band. And so, like, God, I love this band. And then, they email us or get us on Facebook and tell them that they, downloaded a bunch of Social D tunes from iTunes and stuff like that. So now we never get the, we're an original band. Either most people know us or they've heard the songs and then they kind of put two and two together and stuff like that.
And then at the same time, I think what's great about what trippy bands such as you guys do is a lot of times, like you're saying, maybe somebody will come to your show and they've heard the name Social Distortion, but they're not too familiar with the music, and they come and see your show and they're so impressed with the show you guys put on that you kind of turn them on to that band. They go home then and they like, I want to get the Social Distortion catalog. I want to go buy some of their CDs. I mean, that must be a great feeling knowing that you're doing that.
It sure is. Yeah, it sure is. And then a better feeling is when you see those same people at the next show or a show. We get a lot of the repeat offenders come back to the shows, and it's a great feeling. We got a good following to our band now, and it's all thanks to Social Distortion and their music. But we think we do a pretty good job of it. We've been doing it a long time, and the people come back, and the same people that come and see us all the time, and they bring their friends that haven't seen us, and it just kind of explodes from that.
And I think another reason I'm interviewing these bands is because my experience is if you got, there are a lot of great trippy bands out there, and if you've got the right players and you put on the right type of show, you could give your audience a real magical concert experience. I mean, I'll never forget the first time I seen Hollywood Rose, which is a Guns N' Roses tribute out of Hollywood, and the guy, Colby Vale, the singer, he looks just like Axl Rose. You'd swear it was 1987 all over again, and that's probably as close you're ever going to get seeing Axl and Slash actually performing on stage. And the thing about it is, I was listening to this guy sing, I was listening to his band, they all looked the part, they just looked identical to 1987 Guns N' Roses. You'd swear that was a real band, and that's how good they are, if you know what I mean. And I left there thinking, man, those guys, they really put on a great show, and I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of that's what it's all about, is recreating the band on stage for the people that either have never saw them before or just huge fans that grew up with the band and have seen them and they think the same thing. We get that a lot where people say, man, it reminds me of 1982 when Mommy's Little Monster came out, and I saw Mike Ness play at this club down in Orange County, and you guys do the same. We have the same feeling when we see you guys. So yeah, it's a great feeling when people tell you that too, that all the practice that we do pays off.
And again, a lot of people have misconceptions about tribute bands and thinking that that musicians and tribute bands are failed musicians or never able to make it with their own original thing, but that's just not the case, because a lot of these tribute bands that I've seen live and talked to, you come to find out, like, again, the guy in Hollywood Rose, Colby Vale, he's got a lot of his own original music out through doing the tribute thing. It's allowed him to make some money, hone his craft, and he does do the tribute thing, but he gets his own original music out there. He actually got discovered, and he was one of the original singers in Steven Adler's band Adler's Appetite. You hear stories like that all the time. I mean, I even interviewed this other guy, Bart Walsh. He was the original guitar player from the Van Halen tribute, the Atomic Punks, and he actually he got spotted by David Lee Roth, and he went on to play with him in his solo band for a couple years. So guys that play in these tribute bands, they got to have some level of talent. If like David Lee Roth is coming down, checking the band out, and then he asks you, hey, how would you like to play with the real David Lee Roth? I mean, that says it right there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, some of these bands just trying to tribute to a Led Zeppelin or trying to play Jimmy Page's licks or Eddie Van Halen's licks or sing like David Lee Roth or Robert Plant, and that's pretty tough to do. So yeah, I think tribute bands sometimes get bad raps, but all the tribute bands I've met with, these guys are serious musicians. They can play whatever they want, but being the tribute thing, it's something that we all just have fun to do, and we get to play nice big venues, and we get paid, and it's cool. Again, if I was maybe 19 all over again, maybe I'd try to do that original thing again. But at this stage of my life, it's fun. I play with great musicians. We have great bands, great promoters, great venues. So it's fun, man. It's a ride.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the Atomic Punks again. They're the like original Van Halen tribute out here in the LA area, and they just celebrated their 20th anniversary. And interesting thing about them is their original singer, Ralph Ness. He's now the frontman for Steel Panther, and for a little bit in the 90s, he actually briefly left the Atomic Punks, and he went and joined LA Guns, which was a major band that was on Polygram Records. They had videos on MTV, and yet he's made more money doing the tribute thing than when he was in LA Guns. It's so much to the fact that he left LA Guns and went back to the Punks for a while before he eventually formed Steel Panther. And that's just kind of amazing when you think about it, that a guy's actually made more money doing the tribute thing than when he was in a major band like LA Guns.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing, but it's definitely true. It's definitely true. The tribute scene is big, and it's thriving right now.
And so you say you guys have been together 2 years now, is that correct?
Yeah, we're going on 5 years.
5 years, wow, congratulations. Now, when you first started, doing this, did you have any idea that you'd be doing it 5 years, down the line? I mean, that right there tells you that you guys are doing something right. Somebody's coming to your shows that, you're still able to put the show on, 5 years down the line.
I think I didn't think we'd just do it a couple times, and I saw the other tribute scene around us kind of getting bigger and bigger, and bands like Atomic Punks that have been around for a long time, and other bands. So now we definitely went into it thinking that this is going to be a fun ride for a long time, and we're all pretty older guys, and we're mature, and we have our day jobs, so we take it very serious, and we keep. I'm hoping we're going to be able to go another 5-6 years.
And so, if you don't mind me asking, like you're saying, you have a day job. A lot of these guys do, because you kind of need a day job to earn the money to put into the band and stuff. What do you do for your day job during the day?
I actually sell video games.
Wow,
So I have a great day job. Been doing it for 19 years.
And I was curious. A lot of musicians, speaking of video games, they're getting into making music, for actual video games. Is that something you've ever been interested in?
It interests me, but no, I never thought about making music for a video game, but I've definitely worked with a lot of people that have, and sold a lot of those games, and that's a cool scene too. Have your music on a video game, a really popular game. That's cool, man. And
so let me ask you, how old were you when you first picked up the guitar and started playing?
Actually, I started off drumming, funny thing, and I was a drummer for a long time, and then, nobody wants to hear the drummer songs, that old cliche, so I just picked up a guitar probably about 13 years ago, and just started teaching myself. I had a couple friends teach me, and it was fun. You could take a guitar everywhere, where you can't really take your drum set everywhere, just your sticks and a pad. And I still drum every now and then, but playing guitar is a lot of fun, and that's kind of the story. And
I was curious, starting out as a drummer, what was that transition like for you? From being a drummer, the guy in the back of the stage, to being the front man, the guy where all eyes are on you. Did that take some?
It wasn't that hard. I like to ham it up anyway, and I think drumming helped me understand guitar more, and the beats and the rhythm of the guitar. So I'm always on with our drummer. I know when he's going to hit that kick drum, and so no, it wasn't for me. It was pretty easy, learning guitar and then just getting up there and being the front man. For some reason, it worked out for me.
And I was curious, as far as forming the band, how did you all get together? Were you friends beforehand, or were these guys that you hooked up through musician ads and stuff?
No, we were all in bands before, and I was funny thing. I was in a cover band before, and I was doing like 6 to 8 Social Distortion songs, and I realized that I could kind of hit Mike Ness pretty well, and just asked the drummer and asked the guitar player and found a bass player, and off we went. We just said, forget this cover band stuff. We're going to dedicate 100% to Social Distortion and learn. We got about 50 songs in our library that we can play up to 3.5 hours on a show. And so that's kind of how we went. We got lucky that we're already doing Social D, and we just realized that, that's where we wanted to be.
And so, I was curious, obviously a cover band is where you're playing, basically cover tunes from, all various different bands. Whereas when you're in a tribute scene like Total Distortion, you're playing the music of just, one band. So, what was that transition like for you? I mean, do you prefer doing the tribute thing where you're just concentrating on one band?
Yeah, absolutely. The cover thing's fun, but the tribute, I think you get more dedicated when you're in a tribute band because you want to, emulate and be just like the band that people want to come to see. There's a little bit more that goes into, I think, a tribute band. The cover band scene's huge too, but I like being in the tribute band because we focus on Social Distortion at practice, at the shows, wherever it's Social Distortion all the time.
And while I'm sure you guys still rehearse from time to time, I'd imagine, having done this for 5 years and you guys have played these songs, a number of times over the last 5 years, that you're pretty much at the point where, you've mastered these tunes. I mean, the great thing I think about being in a tribute band too would be that, allows you to kind of hone your craft and keep your chops up as musicians because you're constantly, playing shows in that.
Yeah, the funny thing about us is we literally practice every Wednesday. I have a home studio set up down here in San Diego, and, me and the boys get together, and we, you play, 50 songs, so there's a couple songs you haven't played in, a month or two, and so it always seems to be fresh because there's always 10 to 12 to 15 songs that you haven't played in a month or two, and so it literally keeps you fresh when you know 50 songs of the tribute band, and we constantly learn, one or two every couple months. We'll throw in one or two and see how that goes, and so, for us, we're good friends. We just like to get together and play the music together, and we play 2 to 3 times a month out, but we practice come rain or shine every Wednesday night for about 3 hours.
And let me ask you, as far as booking the shows, do you kind of manage the band yourselves, or do you have somebody helping you guys booking the shows and taking care of all the business for you?
Yeah, I kind of run the band. I'm kind of the bus driver of the band, but we definitely work with tribute agencies and various promoters out there, and over the last 5 years we've kind of honed in our skill, and we found out what venues work for us, what venues maybe just aren't into Social Distortion, but yeah, we work with a lot of different people, but I drive the bus, and I work on almost get most of the gigs for us, and work with the various promoters and venues and tribute agencies. You gotta have one person of every band that drives the bus.
Wow. And I know it's not so prevalent in Orange County, especially when you do shows at the House of Blues and stuff, but a lot of places in Hollywood, they have what's called pay to play. Have you guys ever gotten caught having to do that?
The pay to play scene?
Yeah, basically where the promoter wants, they give you 500 tickets, and you got to guarantee that you're going to pack the house, or you're not going to get to play that, play the venue.
No, we don't do that thing. The whole pay to play thing is, I don't know, we just never got into that scene, and that's why I think we found the bars that appreciate the music that we play and the band that we tribute to, and they know the draw that they're going to get. We've been lucky where we don't do the whole pay to play thing.
Because to me, if your band is that good and you're good enough, you'll draw an audience. You'll get people to come to the shows. And so what's your fan base like? Do you see that you guys' fan base is constantly growing?
Oh, absolutely. I got to tell you, social media has helped out quite a bit. I couldn't even imagine being back in the 80s where Facebook didn't exist, and you had to literally print up flyers and go hand them out to thousands of people, where, on something like a Facebook or the internet, you could post one show coming up and it'll hit thousands of people. And we've seen our fan base grow over the years, and we got a lot of Facebook likes, and we got a lot of just interaction on our Facebook page, and 30 new fans, and it's awesome. We're doing pretty well, and we're really lucky as well. So.
And how do you feel about people, fans coming to your guys' shows and taking pictures or video and then sending that into your Facebook page or a website? Do you guys have any problem with that?
No, that's awesome. We encourage that. We're kind of like the dead. Come and tape our shows and post whatever you want and take as many pictures, and it's flattering. I mean, we're a tribute band, and we're flattered that people would want to even actually do that or take pictures after shows. We get people asking for autographs or taking pictures with us, and that's awesome. You can't ask for more than that.
And I'm asking you because I haven't seen your band live before, so I got to ask you. A lot of these tribute bands, besides paying tribute and playing the music, to pay tribute to these bands, a lot of these bands, what I really love is they got the look down. Is that as important to you guys? Getting the look down as a sound, is that something that you really stress on?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I have the Orange County gold top, and we literally dress like the boys in Social Distortion. You'd think that I was about to change your oil after the show, the way I dress like the Mike Ness, have the V8 and the Ford patches on my Dickies, and absolutely have the Doc Martens on and the guy liner going, and yeah, absolutely. If you're a tribute band, you've got to look the part, act the part, play the part on stage. That's what people want to see.
And not that you're trying to fool anybody, but I was just curious if you've ever been hanging out behind the club or anything after a show, or just out in your everyday life, and somebody mistook you for being somebody in Social Distortion.
At a show, it happens all the time. I mean, they I get people coming up to us. We're lucky, and they say, "Dude, you sound just like Mike Ness. You look like Mike Ness." So we're it's Social Distortion. It's it's Mike Ness and the boys, and most people know the Mike Ness, and only a handful of people can actually name the other members of the band unless you're a true fan. So yeah, it happens quite a bit, and again, it's flattering, and I think anybody would enjoy that.
I know a couple of these tribute bands that actually they make recordings of like in your case, maybe Social Distortion songs, put them up on their website, or even they sell CDs or put together a DVD or something. Is that something your band would ever consider doing, or do you think that's taking the tribute thing a little too far?
Well, we definitely put videos up on our site, and we do have MP3s from shows. We would never sell them, obviously.
Yeah.
We do have a promotional DVD that we hand out to venues or certain clubs that if we wanted to play at. But no, going to sell it, I don't think we'd ever do that.
Okay, and if you don't mind me asking, what's the hardest thing about putting on the show you guys put on? I mean, is there part of the show that as far as getting your stage clothes or something like that, or even the equipment that costs the most?
I mean, I think just depending on where the venue is and what time, if it's Friday night up in LA coming from San Diego, that's pretty much the hardest part.
Oh, okay.
Once you're at the show, I mean, we have the gear, we have all the clothes, we have the look. We've been doing this a long time, and again, we're all good friends, so we help each other out, and we just make it happen. So I think we're lucky at that point. We don't have big stage props like some of the other bands, because again, Social D's, they go up there and they rip up Social D songs, and they leave the rest, to your imagination.
And I guess too, I've been to a lot of these tribute shows where, after the band comes off stage, they go in the audience, they stay around the club and talk to people and say hello for a little bit. What's that feeling like when somebody actually comes up to you after your show and they tell you, man, you guys put on one hell of a show. That they took the time, that they were so impressed with you. They took the time to tell you, man, thank you for putting on such a great show. That must be a magical feeling.
It is, absolutely, and it happens all the time. And for us, we get the hardcore Social D fans that have seen 30, 40 Social D concerts, and they grew up in Orange County, and it's people like that when they come up to us and they tell us how much we sound like Social D and we put on the show, that those fans wouldn't tell you that if it wasn't true, because Social D fans are hardcore, and that's one of the best feelings you could ever get. And the minute that we finish, Ring of Fire is always our last song, like Social D, and the minute we finish, we go out in the audience and
And let me ask you, Don, because you're saying like you did the original music thing for years. Doing this 5 years, down the line, are you surprised that, how successful you have been at doing this? I mean, it kind of surprised me, a lot of these tribute bands I talk to, that, it's a lot easier making money, like you were saying, doing the tribute thing. Whereas, like, if you did your own original thing, it might take 5 or 6 years to break the band, before the band even had their, first hit single or anything like that. Does that kind of amaze you that you can, make a lot of money doing the tribute thing as opposed to if you had an original band?
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's kind of it's weird because people are, making these original songs and they're writing their original music and they're unbelievable. And, they may get 2 to 3 people to come out and see them, and these songs are epic. Where, we go out there and we play somebody else's music and do that thing, and it's pretty big. So it's pretty unbelievable how that works.
And
I think that was go ahead.
I was going to say, obviously, you're saying you have a day job, but I was curious, like we were saying, a lot of these guys in tribute bands, they have other projects they're involved with. Is Total Distortion your only project, or are you involved in any other bands or things you'd like to let us know about?
No, Social D is my only thing. I got a family and a job, and a couple of my bandmates are in various other tribute bands. But for me, it's all Social Distortion all the time.
And let me ask you, talking about having a day job, I imagine, you're when you're at work during the day, you act a little differently than when you're up on stage. So I got to ask, like, have you ever invited friends from work or people outside of the music industry to come see your shows? And what do they think? They're kind of like, man, man, I can't believe you're that wild on stage, or you're a totally different person. What's that like?
Yeah, it's a trip. I do invite a lot of people from work or people that I meet, and they come out and they love it, man. They're into it. They love the fact that during the day you do this one thing, and then at nighttime you get up on stage and rock out a bunch of people and have fun. And sometimes I think they wish they could do that as well. I think a lot of people just wish they could get up on stage and rock out and have the fun. And I think it's pretty cool when they come out and then you see them on Monday after a show on a Friday night, and they're just like, wow, man, that was cool. You rocked the house out. You guys sound like them. I would have never thought that. Just you sit at your desk all day, and so it's definitely a trip.
And let me ask you, I mean, that must be a great feeling too when you've worked all week, at the day job, and then you get on a Friday or Saturday night to go out and do a show. Must be a great way to kind of just let your stress out and have a good time and kind of forget about all your problems, even if it's just for the weekend.
Absolutely. It's awesome. We live for the weekends because, like I said, we play 2 to 3 times a month. So always looking forward to that Friday night or that Saturday night when get with the boys and rock out Ball and Chain and the rest of the tunes and hang out with a bunch of other cool tribute bands. There's so many cool other tribute bands we've met, we've played with, and it's kind of like a little family out there. And it's fun hanging out with all the other bands and just watching them and supporting them, and they support us. And yeah, it's cool, man. It's a cool scene.
I think the great thing about the tribute scene too is, opposed to like if you're an original band, like especially like out in the Sunset Strip area and stuff, tribute bands, they seem to be everybody's on the same team. They're all working together. Like you're saying, for example, a guy like Gar Boris, he puts together a show. Oh, okay, Total Distortion. They're Social Distortion band. They sound like an interesting band. I think about putting them on the see if they want to do a show with us, as opposed to like if you guys were a great original act. A lot of these other original acts, they're kind of competing against each other, and they don't want to help each other out. That's like one of the things I really dig about the tribute scene, the networking.
Yeah, absolutely right. Everybody helps each other out, and we're all kind of, like I said, it's a little small family out there that everybody helps each other out. And whenever one band gets a gig, they usually call around and see what other tribute bands want to play with them, and it's cool.
And so I guess the last thing I want to ask you, because like you said, you guys been around now for 5 years, and you're just starting to kind of get the name out there a lot more. Cause, the last couple of months I've been seeing you guys stuff about you all over Facebook and stuff. Do you think that's just kind of has a lot to do with the word of mouth. The fact you're saying that people come to your show and they're telling their friends, hey, I checked out this great Social Distortion tribute. You guys got to go see them, and it seems like you guys are just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it is. It's people come to the shows, they tell their friends the next time, them and all their friends are at the shows, and then it just multiplies from there out. And so, and I think the tribute scene's getting bigger and bigger as the years go on, and you're absolutely right. It just multiplies, and we're just going to keep rocking out there.
Okay, well, hey, Don, I'd like to once again thank you for taking time to do this. I really appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough. Give me a few days to get this up on the site, and if you could send me your email through my Facebook page, I could go ahead and send you an MP3 file of the interview we just did. I could get that to you, today or tomorrow. So if you go ahead and do that, I think you'll really enjoy listening to this. You gave a great interview, so again, I can't thank you enough.
I know, man. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get you that, and I can't say thank you enough too. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who supports the tribute scene, and it's guys like you that are keeping it alive. So if you ever need anything, you got my number. Look up Total Distortion. Hopefully, we'll see you at the show soon. Okay,
and yeah, sure thing. And do me a favor, if any of your other bandmates, like you said, there are other tributes, just let them know about me. If they want to get in touch with me, I'd be happy to talk to them too. So thanks again, and that's what we're all about here at Under Influence. We're about supporting the tribute scene and getting the word out about great bands such as you guys, which is Total Distortion. So more people know about you guys, and but I don't think you need our help too much, because it seems like you guys have been doing it for 5 years and you're still kicking. So I tip my hat to you guys. So thanks again.
All right, man. Thank you. You have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.